and welcome back to English for Specific Purposes Level A2. We are your hosts. I am Mr. Carter.
And I'm Miss Sophie. Previously, we have discussed many topics. We have talked about business, medicine, tourism, psychology, media, and today we are going to start a new topic, architecture. But before that, as always, let's look at our agenda. Today, we are going to start with a brief introduction. After that, we will have a vocabulary, which will be followed by reading comprehension.
After that, we will have a grammar activity, followed by a summary of the entire lesson. And after that, everyone's favorite, a little bit of homework.
გამარჯობა, მე სოფო ვარ, ეს კი მისტერ კარტერია. კეთილი იყოს თქვენი დაბრუნება ჩვენს ტელესკოლაში. ჩვენ, როგორც ისეთ, უკვე ბევრი თემა მიმოვიხილეთ. ვისაუბრეთ მედიაზე, ბიზნესზე, ტურიზმზე, ფსიქოლოგიაზე, მედიცინაზე. დღეს კი დავიწყებთ ახალ ძალიან საინტერესო თემას, არქიტექტურას. თუმცა ვიდრე უშუალოდ გაკვეთილზე გადავიდოდეთ, როგორც ყოველთვის, მოდით ერთად ვნახოთ დღევანდელი ჩვენი დღის გეგმა. დღევანდელი გაკვეთილი დაიწყება მოკლე შესწავლით, ამის შემდეგ შევისწავლით სიტყვებს არქიტექტურასთან დაკავშირებით, შემდეგ წავიკითხავთ ტექსტს, ამას მოყვება გრამატიკული სავარჯიშოები, შემდეგ ვეცდებით შევაჯამოთ მთელი გაკვეთილი და ბოლოს დავასრულებთ საშინაო დავალებით. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Mr. Carter, what do you think about the buildings on the picture? Which one do you like the most and why?
Well, Miss Sophie, the buildings are very different. One looks like a temple or a church, and the other looks like a parking garage.
It does, actually, it does.
So I think the one that looks like a church is much prettier, while the other one is not so pretty.
The first one is quite old and the another one is quite modern as well, right?
Definitely.
You're right, Mr. Carter. And now it's time to move to
our first set of vocabulary.
ახლა კი ერთად შევისწავლოთ სიტყვები. Our first word is ruined. Ruined is an adjective and in Georgian it means დანგრეული.
Ruined means destroyed. And like Miss Sophie said, ruined is an adjective. But if you want to use it as a noun, ruins, like ancient ruins, then it is a noun. So ruined, adjective, destroyed, ruins, noun, something that's very, very old.
Ruined, დანგრეული. Ruined, დანგრეული.
Ruined,
დანგრეული. Our next word is ancient. Ancient is an adjective and in Georgian it means უძველესი ან ანტიკური.
Ancient is a very easy word to remember. It just means very, very, very old or from a long time ago. So when you think of something ancient, you might think of the pyramids or
Ancient ruins.
Or ancient ruins. Exactly, Miss Sophie.
Ancient, უძველესი ან ანტიკური. Ancient, უძველესი ან ანტიკური. Ancient, უძველესი ან ანტიკური. Let's have a look at our next word, which is modern. Modern is an adjective and in Georgian it means თანამედროვე.
Modern means designed or made using the most recent ideas or techniques.
Modern is an opposite of ancient. Am I right?
You are right, Miss Sophie.
Modern, თანამედროვე. Modern, თანამედროვე. Modern, თანამედროვე. Our next word is ugly. Ugly is an adjective and in Georgian it means მახინჯი.
Ugly means unattractive or not pleasant to look at.
It is quite a negative word, isn't it?
It is a quite negative word, Miss Sophie.
Ugly, მახინჯი. Ugly, მახინჯი.
Ugly,
მახინჯი. Our next word is attractive, the opposite of ugly. Attractive is an adjective and in Georgian it means მიმზიდველი.
Attractive means very pleasing to sight or sound. So if you see something you like or hear something you like, then it is attractive. If you see something you don't like or hear something you don't like, it is probably ugly.
And we can say that ancient ruins are attractive to many people, isn't it so?
It is very so, Miss Sophie.
Attractive, მიმზიდველი ან ლამაზი. Attractive, მიმზიდველი ან ლამაზი.
Attractive.
მიმზიდველი ან ლამაზი. I believe this is the last word in our set of vocabulary, and now it's time to
move on to our vocabulary activity, in which we will match the word with the correct sentence that it fits most appropriately.
ახლა, როგორც კარტერმა თქვა, დროა გადავიდეთ ლექსიკურ სავარჯიშოზე. ამ სავარჯიშოსთვის ეკრანზე მოცემულია წინადადებები, სადაც ამოღებულია კონკრეტული სიტყვები. ჩვენ ერთად უნდა გადავწყვიტოთ, რომელი სიტყვა შეესაბამება ყველაზე მეტად ცარიელ ადგილს. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
The first sentence is, after the war, the city was...
Well, Miss Sophie, there are several things that can fit here, but like always, we want to find the best answer. So, after the war, wars are normally very destructive.
That's
so
true.
You could say the city was ugly, but it was destroyed. If something was in a war, it was destroyed.
Which means that probably if something is destroyed is the synonym of ruined.
Very good, Miss Sophie.
Exactly. The right answer for this one would be ruined. Our next word is, the countryside was blank, everyone liked it. Well, Miss Carter, if everyone liked something, what would be the right answer?
Well, Miss Sophie, if everyone likes it, if you like something, it most likely means it's very attractive.
True, opposite of ugly, definitely. And our next sentence is, the financial district built recently. So there are a lot of buildings. So if something has been just built or has been recently built, what kind of buildings are there?
Well, Miss Sophie, some people think that new buildings are ugly, but we want to find the best word. So, if something has been built recently, then it is modern.
It is modern. You are absolutely right. The modern is the right answer. Let's have a look at the next sentence. Across the street from our building, all we can see is an blank building. What do you think? What kind of building there might be that people see across the street?
Well, Miss Sophie, it could be ancient, but that doesn't fit too well.
True.
So I think the answer is probably going to be ugly.
True. So in these kind of sentences, we need to think about not which part of speech we need, because both of the words left are the adjectives, but the content, the semantics, the meaning of the word. This is why ugly is the best fit. Let's look at the last sentence now. There is a church on the top of a mountain that is very and blank. What can it be, Mr. Carter?
The obvious answer is ancient.
Exactly. Churches, most of the churches are ancient. Some of them are modern as well. However, the best fit in this sentence is ancient.
Now, let's move on to our second set of vocabulary related to the reading.
ახლა კი როგორც კარტერმა თქვა, გადავდივართ ახალ სიტყვებზე. ეს სიტყვები უშუალოდ ტექსტთან არის დაკავშირებული და ისინი დაგეხმარებათ თქვენ ტექსტის უკეთ გაგებაში. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Our first word is amazing. Amazing is an adjective, and in Georgian it means საოცარი ან განსაცვიფრებელი.
Amazing simply means very, very good. You can say amazing for anything that you really, really like or that you are very impressed by. Other words like amazing are fantastic or spectacular or awesome. All of these words mean very, very good, but amazing is one of the best words, and you should definitely remember it when talking about something you like.
Amazing, განსაცვიფრებელი ან საოცარი. Amazing, განსაცვიფრებელი ან საოცარი.
Amazing,
განსაცვიფრებელი ან საოცარი. Shall we look at the next word?
We should.
Palace. Palace is a noun, and in Georgian it means სასახლე.
A palace is a large home and is often the official home to royalty, such as a king or a queen or any other sort of monarch in the world.
Some of the palaces are really amazing.
Well done, Miss Sophie.
Well, I'm a fast learner. Palace, სასახლე. Palace, სასახლე. Palace, სასახლე. Our next word is restore. Restore is a verb, and in Georgian it means აღდგენა.
Restore means to return something to a better condition or just make it better in general. If you restore a car or a building, it most likely means you take an old building or old car and make them better, like brand new. That is restore.
Restore, აღდგენა. Restore, აღდგენა.
Restore.
აღდგენა. Our next word is elegant. Elegant is an adjective, and in Georgian it means eleganturi.
Elegant means attractive in a very classy way. So if you see an old, nice car that has been restored, that can be elegant.
Some people might look elegant as well.
Exactly, Miss Sophie. If you go to a dinner party and you wear a nice suit or nice dress, that is elegant.
Elegant, eleganturi. Elegant, eleganturi.
Elegant.
Eleganturi. Our next word is massive. Massive is an adjective, and in Georgian it means masიური ან დიდი.
Massive means very large in size or amount of something. So if you have something that is very, very big, that is massive. Or if you have many of something, that is a massive amount.
That's true. Nowadays we have lots of massive buildings.
Very true, Miss Sophie.
Massive, masიური ან დიდი. Massive, masიური ან დიდი.
Massive.
Masიური ან დიდი. Our next word is stone. Stone is a noun, and in Georgian it means kva.
A stone is something that comes from the earth. Essentially, it is just a big rock.
Stone, kva. Stone, kva.
Stone.
kva. I believe this was the last word in this set of vocabulary.
I believe so too, Miss Sophie. Now, let's move on to our reading activity.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ კითხვის დავალებაზე. Mr. Carter, can you please tell us which is the most beautiful building you have ever seen?
Well, Miss Sophie, the most beautiful building I have ever seen is actually part of ancient ruins in Cambodia called Angkor Wat. It was amazing.
Do you know its history?
I actually know a little bit of history, Miss Sophie. So, Angkor Wat was built in the 11th century by Hindu monks, and at one point in time, it was the biggest city on the earth. It was the center of the city, and the city was built around this massive temple.
That's very interesting. Actually, today we are going to read about one of the oldest structures in the world, Colosseum.
That sounds fascinating.
Colosseum is an ancient building in Rome. It is an amazing building which shows the power of Roman Empire. It was built in 80 AD, and it's a big amphitheater, and it was used to show the fights between the gladiators and the wild animals. It is made of stones, and although it was damaged during the earthquake, its main structure has been standing for 2,000 years. It looked ruined, but it has been restored.
The Taj Mahal is in Agra, India. It is an amazing building which was built by the Emperor Shah Jahan in memory of his wife who died. It looks like a palace. It looks very traditional, but there are some modern elements. It was built using the materials from all over India and Asia and used 1,000 elephants in order to help move the materials. The building was restored several years ago.
The Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower in Paris is one of the favorite sites for tourists. It looks so beautiful and elegant. It was designed in 1889, And that time, some people didn't like it and thought that it was ugly. It's massive. It's about 300 meters tall, and it was the world's tallest structures until about 1930.
Now, let's move on to our reading activity, in which we will read a sentence and determine if it is true or false based on the text we read.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ კითხვის დავალებაზე. ეკრანზე მოცემულია წინადადება, ჩვენ ერთად უნდა გადავწყვეტოთ, ეს წინადადება შეესაბამება თუ არ შეესაბამება ტექსტს. თუ წინადადება შეესაბამება ტექსტს, მაშინ ვამბობთ true. ხოლო თუ წინადადება არ შეესაბამება ტექსტს, მაშინ ვამბობთ false. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Our first sentence is, the Colosseum is a modern building in Rome. Mr. Carter, what do you think? Is it a modern building in Rome?
Well, Miss Sophie, I'm pretty sure everyone knows the answer to this one. The Colosseum is an ancient building built a long time ago, so it can't be a modern building.
You are right. This sentence is false. And our next sentence is, the Colosseum was destroyed by the earthquake. Mr. Carter, what do you think? Is this sentence true or false?
Well, Miss Sophie, I remember that the Colosseum is very old, but I'm not sure that it's been destroyed, so I'm going to say false.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter. As we read in the text, it was damaged during the earthquake, but it was not destroyed. It has been standing for 2,000 years.
Wow.
Which makes this sentence false. Let's have a look at the next sentence. The Taj Mahal is a modern building in Europe. What do you think, Mr. Carter?
Well, Miss Sophie, I was the one that read about the Taj Mahal, and there are two things wrong in this sentence. The Taj Mahal is not modern, and it is not in Europe.
It is in India. You are absolutely right, which makes this sentence
False.
And our next and the last sentence is, in the past, some people thought that the Eiffel Tower was not beautiful at all. What do you think, Mr. Carter? Is this sentence true or false?
I think the sentence is true because I remember when it was built, some of the people thought it was very ugly.
You are absolutely right. Standards has changed a lot today. This sentence is true.
Now, let's move on to our grammar activity.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გრამატიკის დავალებაზე. On the screen, you can see two sentences. The building was designed in 1889. It was restored several years ago. As you can see, here, was designed and was restored are highlighted. This is because it shows passive voice. You have probably already remember from the previous lessons that we talked about passive voice, but back then we talked about passive present simple voice. Now we are going to talk about past simple passive. The basic rules stay the same, but still let's revise them together. We use the passive voice when we prefer not to mention who or what did the action. For example, it's not known, it's obvious, or we just don't want to say. For example, new bridge was built in the city last year. We also use passive voice so that we can start a sentence with the more logical or more important information. The city was destroyed by the earthquake in 2008. We often use passive in more formal writing. For example, new methods of construction were discovered by engineers several years ago. We can mention who was the doer of the action by adding the preposition by. The building was designed by the architect. In order to form past simple passive, we use the same structure as present simple passive. This means that we take verb to be, but instead of using it in the present simple tense, we change it into the past simple tense. So instead of is or are, we use was or were, plus past participle, plus by, plus subject. For example, I was informed about the updates yesterday. The buildings were reconstructed last year. In order to form the negative form, again, we use the same structure. We take the verb to be, was not or were not, plus past participle, plus by, plus subject. The plan was not shown to me. They were not informed on time. In order to form the question form, we start with the verb to be in the past, was or were, plus the object, plus past participle, plus by, plus subject. For example, was the research done by the scientists? Were the buildings destroyed by the earthquakes? Now it's time to move to a grammar exercise. In this exercise, we have to form verbs in a correct past simple passive voice. Let's start. Our first sentence is, a simple small house blank by a poor family. And the verb that we have to use is build. A simple small house was built by a poor family. Let's have a look at the next sentence. Who this building designed by? This, as you can see, is a question, so we need to form a question. Who was the building designed by? As you can see, the preposition by goes at the end of the sentence in the question forms. The prize by a famous architect, and the verb that we need to use is win. The prize was won by a famous architect. Please notice that after was, we follow the verb into past participle form. Win, won, won. So we need won. This place by many tourists last year, and the verb that we need to use is visit, but in a negative form. That's why we need to say the place wasn't or was not visited by many tourists last year. Also, pay attention to the time references given in the sentences. This will help you determine whether you need present simple passive or past simple passive. In this sentence, we have last year. This makes us think that we need to use past simple passive. The walls by a famous painter. We need to use a verb painted in a negative form again. So the right answer would be the walls were not painted by a famous painter.
Now, let's move on to our summary.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გაკვეთილის შეჯამებაზე.
First, we had vocabulary talking about buildings and different kinds of buildings, followed by a reading section about 3 very famous buildings in the world, followed by a grammar activity.
დღეს ჩვენ შევისწავლეთ ახალი სიტყვები, ამის შემდეგ წავიკითხეთ ტექსტი, შემდეგ კი გვქონდა გრამატიკული სავარჯიშოები. Now it's time for homework. For your homework, you need to write a paragraph about a building that you like. You need to upload your homework on the address given on the screen. Do not forget to use vocabulary and the grammar that we have taught you today. We have prepared a template for you. Please do not copy-paste. We know you can do better than us. Hope to see you next time. Next lesson, we are going to continue talking about architecture. Don't miss it. It's going to be very interesting. Bye.
Goodbye.